Well, morning, fellow zombies. Why the hell are we all awake? Well, I know I'm emotionally screwed up and I'm sleep deprived, so what the hell? This is the zombie we were trying to see of Roseman, California. It's the 25th of May, 2023. Time index 1:15 in the morning Pacific Standard Time. Yeah, is it a good morning or not? Okay, so how are we doing? Small cat nap and the body's still adjusting to it. I swear, I missed the long days, long nights. I was actually able to sleep 6 to 8 hours, or almost 6 hours. I was lucky I was sleeping 3 hours at a time. But it just doesn't happen that way, does it? Oh, shit, here we go. Okay, so what happened last night? We were supposed to have the Desantis thing happen, and on Twitter Spaces, it didn't happen. Somehow, either the servers did get melted, or gremlins got into the system where DeSantis couldn't really make his announcements. So now the media pundits are going after him, and everybody else is going after him. And DeSantis is still having issues regarding his Disney fight. If he can beat Disney, he can try beating Donald Trump, right? I mean, the joke is if he can beat Daffy, if he can beat Donald Duck, then he can beat the Trump, right? Yeah, right. So the media are quick to point this out. They're trying to point out that if one can beat a giant Disney, then Trump ought to be bigger than that. And the problem is, people have made the Trump a lot bigger than what they expect. They had to follow an orange gas back, and everybody followed suit. Oh, hang on, I gotta take care of something real fast. Yeah, but that wasn't happening in the national news. Try to local news. Central Valley, California. Sacramento City Hall. City Council chambers are having their meet and greet with the public. And during this time, there's public supposed to be coming in, airing their grievances to the city council, let them know what's going on. And and how about if you happen to have some Proud Boys coming through, just to give some hellion service? Now here's the thing. First Amendment rights does grant the Proud Boys to spew the crap, regardless. Democracy in itself is not one-sided. Democracy is pluralistic, meaning anybody could have an opinion about anything, and it still matters. However, does it also matter if someone goes in there and starts creating such a favor that they want a confrontation just to solidify their end, their justification for doing what they're doing, making their purpose have more meaning? Basically, they want to make themselves complete and utter assholes at this point. Well, I'm saying it anyway. 1 second here. You want to hear of a bigger issue that started my awareness of it more. It's not the January 6th. That's of this generation, though. I'm talking about back in the 70s. And I keep bringing this up because it's relevant. But everyone else keeps forgetting about the damn thing in the first place. I didn't hear anything about it until I saw this telepeg late 70s and wondered what the hell was this all about? In schools, they would teach us about Black History a bit, and they wanted us to watch Alex Haley's, 'American History, 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 'American History Well, now it's considered fictitious. But back then, I thought it was real. A fictitious biography of sorts of a family coming from Africa, sold in slaves, and having a journey that affects everybody these days. Of everybody who had been a slave and their generations after that. I mean, it was bringing it alive. A full week on ABC 7 watching this thing. There was arguments and there was back and forth on this one to see whether or not if Alex Haley's story was actually legitimate or not. I mean, there had been rumors it was, but it was actually proven false. But the story was so powerful. It still resonates. It still resonates. It means something. It means something. Much like if there were stories coming out of South Africa concerning about the apartheid, anti-apartheid situations happening over there. We didn't hear anything about it until the 80s on this one, and then the 90s. Because I didn't know there was anything like apartheid in Africa. Hatred just springs up one way or another. We've got it happening these days. But as I said before, I'm reverting back over to Skokie, Illinois on this one. The story was American neo-Nazis came into town and they wanted to protest. They want to be pain in the asses. These guys want to come in and cause so much grief and pain that their only joy in life is to create pain in others that are not white and pure. So why not go into a Jewish neighborhood and give them some grief? That was the contention. But the group was stopped by the cops from doing this. So there was a lawsuit filed by the American Nazi Party. And to the local judge said, no, they don't have a right. They're spewing off anger, hatred, vitriol. We don't want it here. We're not going to have it here. The city council blocked the permits necessary for them to protest in the area that they wanted to go into. The Nazi Party wasn't done yet. The American Nazi Party said, we're taking this all the way to the Supreme Court. You're violating our civil rights. Hardly nobody talks about it. I mean, there's even progressives and the main media don't even talk about it anymore. It's still out there. Anyway, the court case is out there too. And you'd be surprised what the ruling was. And also how it was handled. Okay, here we go. So, as much as the story, as I remembered and reviewed on this one, it went all the way over to the appeals court and then back into the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court had to make a ruling on this one. Did the American Nazi Party actually have a right to protest? And the Supreme Court ruled on it. I forgot what the numbers were, but the majority said, yeah, they do, because of the First Amendment guarantees it. They have the right for freedom of speech, just not to stir violence, but that's what they wanted, was stirring up violence. That's all these guys want to do is stir up violence. They got so much hatred in them, it's not even funny. The American Nazi Party won the Supreme Court. But the Supreme Court said they had the right. Didn't say anything about the mechanisms, how it's going to be done, or where, or when, or how. That's up to the local. The city was disappointed, and so was the community, but when they also heard that, the city had to get creative in engineering on this one. Now, again, the American Nazi Party wanted to go through a Jewish neighborhood just to give them grief because now they think, okay, we're empowered and we're going to do this, right? City Council goes, you have the right for it, but you don't have the right permits for it. What do you mean we don't have the right to? We don't have the right to do this. No, no, you have the right to do this. Well, then get us out of the way. We're going to do this. It's through this neighborhood over here. No, you're not. Not without the right permits. What do you mean we need permits to do this? We're not denying you the rights. We're denying you venue, time and place. We'll give you another time and place for it, away from the areas that you want to go through. You can't do that. Yeah, we can. You see, the Supreme Court says about the bigger issues of our laws, including the amendment, including the Bill of Rights. They uphold the major constitutional issues. But when it comes down for the minutia, that's to the lower courts to decide whether or not you're going to have the ability to do it. You have the right to be an asshole, but it limits your ability on how you're going to become that kind of an asshole. So they were given a permit to go to a different place, a different time, in Skokie, Illinois, to do the protest away from their intended target. Despite the vitriol that was happening in the Sacramento City Council, they also affirmed that the Proud Boys and whatever kind of filth they've got crawling in, they wanted to protest and they wanted to spread the vitriol, fine. But the problem is they're going to be telling people that they're going to be wanting a confrontation at this point over here. They don't have that because that's against the law as well. You see, the Constitution for the First Amendment tries to guarantee you the First Amendment right to speak, not to cause issues. People keep forgetting this. Okay. Use a local example here, out in Roseman, California. Before my brother and I moved out here, there had been a place utilized as a gathering place for the neo-Nazi scumbags out here. And basically they wanted to terrorize different areas left and right. And they had their base of operation, but somehow they got shut down. Now, if they still kept their base of operations where a church now stands in its property and has taken away that, they would have been trying to find areas to cause hell. There are areas in the Roseman area, in the Roseman community, that has racial diversity. They would have a party in this area. They would. Because the low-income areas that we have, the facilities do house diversity. And because of that diversity, it would be the perfect grounds to cause issues. And somehow, the city of Roseman, or the town of Roseman, decided they didn't want any of this to happen. They got rid of them, or else they went underground to a different place altogether. But they're no longer seen. Maybe once in a great while you see them online, floating around with their damn comments. But even social media has an issue with these guys. Because social media is trying to get rid of anything and everything that's anti-Semitic and anti-racist, or considered as such. Political humor has gotten racier, has gotten extremes on some occasions where it does seem to be a bit racist. and it is challenged. Now, when it comes down for Facebook, it is still considered a company. It is not considered a person or a private entity, and therefore they don't have specific laws or rules or regulations to govern these guys. Now, as has been said in court cases and also in public opinion, they wanted to get rules and regulations for whatever reason. Silicon Valley wanted to have this damn thing. Probably justification or not, but they wanted to get federal ruling on what they can and cannot do. And the issue is, our companies, like the tech companies, like the telecoms, or telecos, are they considered companies to be ruled and regulated, or are they considered private entities, not quite ruled and regulated? There had been, as I had discovered for a long while, that they are ruled by Supreme Court decisions made and appellate decisions to indicate that the telecos are still a company. And I'm going to deal with international and local. That's still subject to federal rules and regulations, but the problem is if they are ruled not as a company but as an individual, that's an issue. And it takes an act of Congress to make this clarification. They've been having committee meetings trying to discover what they can and can't do, and they're bitching and griping about the AI situations, the chat bots, and whatever kind of things they got going out there with the new technologies. And they still can't get their act together. Well, this is Congress, this is democracy. Wheels turn slowly. But they still need to get those laws going, if it profits them. I keep wondering about the modern day pirates. The modern day pirates are our lawmakers being subjugated to the corporate whims and everything else going on. So that's how things are going these days. They can't even get their act together concerning about the damn deficit, or the debt ceiling, or even the budgets. I want to combine them into one. Get them done, get it done with. This is a Republican way. Yeah, right, sure. While other Republican states are screwing other people's civil rights left and right. A woman can't be a woman. Unless, of course, the law says so. But if a woman is a man or has manly genitalia, they're not allowed. They're not even godly. Yeah, right. God makes so much diversity in this planet, in the universe. But we have to consider what is godly or not. Arrogant bastards we are. Anyway, I thought I'd give that a little headache there for you this morning. Countdown still continues until the end of the world as we know it. And no, I am not going to be crediting REM for that one. If we manage to survive the cataclysm of the fiscal cliff, of the deficit going ape during that time, are we going to be over the cliff, or are we actually going to be hanging on it by our fingernails, I wonder. I'll have a way to wake up to in the morning, I'll tell you that much.